Yooka Laylee is a game out of time. Developed by Rareware alums Platonic Games, Yooka Laylee was crowdfunded on Kickstarter, a fact that the game doesn't let you forget, way back in the olden times of 2015. It was pitched as a quote-unquote rare revival, a return to form for the former employees of the essentially defunct Rareware after being purchased by Microsoft, and then criminally underutilized to the point of absurdity. A rare revival is exactly what Yooka Laylee is, since it's literally just Banjo-Kazooie with a different musically named duo and a sexy HD paint job. A revival of the 64-bit era is a nostalgic ride, but it becomes apparent very quickly that Yooka Laylee has taken the best bits of the platformer collectathon genre, but somehow still managed to include some of the worst traits of game design from the era. Over the course of a hub world and 5 themed worlds, you'll platform, fight bosses, meet a colorful cast of characters, and collect things. You'll collect so many things. Your main goal is the retrieval of pages, talking golden pages of a magic book. In order to get the pages, however, you'll need to collect a myriad of items, play coins in order to access arcade games within each level to then earn more pages, molecules to transform into a different form, such as a snowplow or a pirate ship, ghost riders, which take the place of Jinjos without the payoff at the end, and quills, which function as currency to buy new moves from Trouser the Snake, and somewhat confusingly, only Trouser the Snake. This is odd because there's 200 quills scattered around each of the 5 worlds, but you'll only need about 550 to 600 in order to buy every move from them, which is a requirement that sounds much more daunting than it actually is, seeing as I got about 700 with very minimal effort. But that leaves the question of what to do with the remaining 400 quills. There's no answer that the game gives to that question. It's not a huge deal. I felt it spoke to a lack of foresight, I guess. There's no purpose to the remaining 400 quills. The most egregious design decision, however, is a personal pet peeve of mine, and that is the artificial padding of game length. After the 5th level, you'll come to a door leading to the final boss. Having pretty well traversed all 5 worlds and having 25 or so pages with me after spending the ones to unlock the different worlds, I assumed I'd be tackling the big bad, since page requirements hadn't gone up above 20 previously. But it turns out that was pretty presumptuous of me, because to unlock this door, you'll have needed to collect 100 total pages. I had collected 60, meaning Yooka Laylee added 40% more game for me for no other reason, aside from the developer saying, "Nope, you didn't do enough, go collect more." Honestly, the 100-page door left a bad taste in my mouth for the remainder of the game. I hated Zelda Wind Waker's Triforce Hunt, and all the Metroid Prime required side quests, and just the entirety of Dead Space 3 for the exact same reason. It takes a game of decent length and well-paced, and it turns it into a slog that has long overstayed its welcome. All of that aside, the gameplay, platforming in particular, is solid. If you've played a platformer before, especially Banjo-Kazooie, you already know what you're getting into here. It's legitimately fun to run and jump around as the titular duo. They're not too floaty and not too heavy. In short, the controls just feel good. The skills you learn from Trouser the Snake are varied, and with a few exceptions, useful. A few baffling decisions were made in regard to abilities, however, like the stamina bar. Why is there a stamina bar? Yeah, it limits the use of some abilities, but even to that I ask why they need to be limited in such a way. Limiting the roll move really only served to frustrate me, and it led to me waiting around halfway up a climb because my stamina was out. All of the other moves that could use the stamina bar could have gotten by with either not being limited due to how pointless the limitation is, like Laylee's sonar attack, or with the attack using a normal timer, like what was standard back in the day. Speaking of ability timers, there are none on abilities that don't use the stamina bar. This is most frustrating with Yooka's ability to eat certain things and temporarily gain abilities, like eating a cannonball makes you immune to heavy winds, or an ice barrier lets you shoot ice bullets from Yooka's mouth, etc. It goes on. These abilities don't give you any indication of when they're going to end, leading you to either run back and forth eating these things over and over to make sure you don't run out, or risk death by just charging forward blind. When it's combined with the just intensely frustrating first-person aiming mode that feels ripped right out of Banjo-Tooie, just horrific N64 style aiming, the issue is just compounded. The lack of any sort of timer is such an insane oversight. I'm not sure how it was never brought up during development. No, it's not game breaking, but it was so annoying given that Banjo-Kazooie, this game's spiritual predecessor, used music cues to solve this really simple problem. Nearly everything else about Yooka Laylee is pretty by the numbers. You have your standard plains/mountain level, swamp, ice, casino levels, with everything about them being more or less what you'd expect. And while most games have these levels, hell, almost all games have these levels, they typically aren't all that they had. There's very little originality here, and the game does nothing to make you think differently. The 5th level, Galleon Galaxy, was actually pretty awesome though. It has like this 50s view of the future thing with like pneumatic tubes for travel and space lighthouses and sailing on a literal sea of stars, and all of that was just a really needed breath of fresh air after all the stale themed levels preceding it. Another neat function is expanding the levels themselves. If you have enough pages, which you will, you can unlock more of each level to explore. Seeing that oddly placed platform that you notice your first time through a level suddenly become the first step of many towards a floating pillar in the sky was great, and it gives you a reason to go through the level again to see what else has changed in your never-ending hunt for collectibles. If you like constant puns, fourth wall breaks, general absurdity, and a level of self-awareness that would give Sterling Archer a run for his money, the humor in Yooka Laylee is right up your alley. It actually surprised me in how funny it could be, even eliciting a few actual laughs, which those are honestly, especially in video games, those are so rare, I felt like it needed to be brought up. Some of this, though, was marred by the ever-prevalent beating a dead horse syndrome, such as the multiple quiz segments that were cute the first time but quickly became irritating, and a few jokes that actually poked fun at some of the game's shortcomings, which honestly just kind of frustrated me more than anything, because it means that those problems were intentional, and then they played it for laughs, and it was just irritating. I came into Yooka Laylee looking forward to a nostalgic joyride provided by the people who gave us the best games the N64 had. Unfortunately, I walked away frustrated, and with the realization that nostalgia is no excuse to ignore modern game design. A few modern touches to alleviate these problems could have taken Yooka Laylee from a good game with a couple issues to a great game with less issues. Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comments, and we can talk and or yell at each other about it. And remember, if you liked this review, to subscribe to my channel, follow me on Twitter at Greene Games for notifications on my new videos. Thanks for watching, guys.